Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. Tonight we will try to speak about the situation in our world, in this world, in our world. Where are we heading to? We will try to analyze the situation and see what's going to be in the next few years. Obviously, this is something everybody is thinking about. And not only the economical situation and the crisis in the world, also our security, the future of Israel, the future of the Jews in America, in the world, all these things, I'm sure bother each one of you. If you have any questions while I'm speaking, feel free to raise your hand. I rather answer your questions than just give you a lecture. It's always better for me. But if you don't have any question, then I'll decide what to speak about. If you have any other questions, it doesn't have to be 100% in the same topic that we're speaking about. It can be different topics as long as I answer what really bothers the audience. That's, for me, will be an achievement. Anyway, we found in the Torah that the world goes in a cycle of seven good years, 7 bad years. If you follow the situation that we had until a year ago, we had 7 very good years. 7 very good years financially. Everybody bought a house, people took mortgages, people that couldn't afford to buy a house 10, 15 years earlier, they couldn't even dream about buying a house. All of a sudden, almost everybody in America, they took mortgage, the rate was very low, and it seems that people are doing very well. Shopping, traveling, vacations, everything was working fine. What happened to us spiritually in those years? If we check the situation in the frum world, the Jewish religious world, and I have experience because I travel, I go to places, it went down tremendously. I'm not talking about the new Baalei Tshuva that joined the world. Baruch Hashem, there's always new Baalei Tshuva. I'm talking those from birth. They became more and more modern. They fell in love constantly with the artificial world and the illusions of this materialistic world. The weddings become a lot fancier. The clothing become a lot fancier. The cars, nobody dared to drive Mercedes, BMW, all kinds of fancy Lexus 15, 20 years ago, even those who could afford it. Today it's an epidemic. People that the grandparents or parents were butchered in Auschwitz still, couldn't dare to drive a Mercedes 15, 20 years ago. Today they have 3 in their driveways. People own now private jets. The houses are much nicer than what it used to be. People have more maids, and all of a sudden Hashem decided to turn 180 degrees to the other side, and now comes the 7 bad years. We are only 1 year into that cycle. I know that you follow the news, and they're constantly saying that there are signs of the economy is recovering and situation is going to be good in a few months. But I promise you that it's not going to be anything better. It's only going to get worse for a period of few good years. And in May, perhaps, according to the prophecies, if we read the Torah carefully and the Tanakh, the prophets, it may going to be the last period of the bad years. The Jewish nation always suffered bad years, pogroms, Holocausts, destructions of the temples twice, actually 3 times. We're only speaking about the temple being destroyed twice, but in between the Greeks burned the temple. The miracle of Hanukkah happened between the destruction of the first temple to the second one. So it really happened 3 times. Not to talk about 2,000 years of exiles and suffering, and finally we arrived to Israel and we established a state. There's a big argument we should have done so. Some Jews believe that it was a big mistake to do it. We'd be better off to stay in the exile. Some say, what are you talking about? Our existence depends on the state of Israel. Without it, we are worthless. It's a famous argument. It's interesting. In where I live, in Monsey, you have 2 synagogues, 2 big fancy synagogues. 5 minutes walking distance. In one, in Yom HaAtzmaut, in the Independence Day of Israel, in one they make barbecue, raising flags, having a party, kissing, hugging, not saying vidui that day. Just 5 minutes away, they sit on the floor and cry for the destruction of Israel, wishing for it. They have beards in Yarmulke, and they have beards in Yarmulke. This is the sicknesses, the spiritual sicknesses of 2,000 years of exile. Well, now we're seeing the results. So many different customs, so many different beliefs, so many arguments. The little that we have left from the authentic, the original Judaism that we used to have 3,000 or 2,000 years ago, the little that we have left today, when we approach new Baalei Tshuva, it brings so much light to their life. Just imagine if we had the original, authentic Chachamim that we used to have 2,000 or 3,000 years ago, how the world would look today. It's a completely different place today. However, we have to be realistic. We are in this situation. We have to know what to do. We have to know what needs to be done. So the first thing is, we have, each one of us has to look at his life individually, what needs to be improved by my life, my family, my children, my soulmate, and as a part of a large group, which is the nation of Israel. What can we do for ourselves? What can we do for the entire future of the Jewish people? However, unfortunately, the situation today is that the intermarriage, it's a very serious problem. Everywhere I go, now more than before, I see in my lectures many people that are not Jewish. Some of them, they consider themselves Jewish, but according to the halakha, they're really not Jewish. Maybe they love Israel, maybe they love the Jews, they may speak Hebrew, and they may be very nice people, but according to the Torah, they are completely Gentiles. They don't have to keep Shabbat. How we see so many people like this? The father is Jewish and the mother is not. So that's called intermarriage. I have a whole lecture in my website about intermarriage. It's so good, the lecture, not that I want to compliment myself, I just say based on experience, that everyone that you know that is about to violate one of the main rules of Judaism, which is intermarriage, that God is very strict about it, make him watch that lecture. There's a very, very serious chance that he may change his mind. It's so effective that at one time, there was one Israeli Kohen from Florida that married an Italian girl, and they have a kid. And they watch that lecture, and the girl say, I cannot live with you anymore because it's against God's wish. I don't want to be wicked. The non-Jew say, the Gentile. So he told her, what are you talking about? So convert. You want to be Jewish, convert. The problem is a Kohen cannot marry a convert. That's what the problem is. If he wouldn't be a Kohen, it could solve the problem. But she said, convert or not, I still cannot be with you. So in the meantime, take the kid, raise him as a Jew, convert him. I'm not going to stay with you one more minute. So the guy calls me up. He says, you ruined my life. I didn't know what's going to happen. It shows that this lecture is powerful. Why it's powerful? Because it combines all the sources. Most of the decisions we make in our life, I promise you, from experience, it's based on ignorance. We don't really know anything. And because we don't know, we're making so many mistakes. The more knowledgeable we know about the subject that we are about to choose what to do, the more knowledge we're going to have, the less mistake we're going to make. It's very simple. For instance, Shabbat. How many of us knows how to keep Shabbat? Not that many. Why we don't know how to keep Shabbat? Because we never learned seriously the laws of Shabbos from A to Z. If we would invest, I don't know, 50, 100 hours of learning, serious, we'll go one law after the other, understand the concept, the root of the restrictions, why God made it, what's the point of Shabbat, what does it symbolize for him, the Sabbath, it's a covenant, spiritual covenant, it's a ticket to the world to come, all these important concepts that the Torah speaks about at 12 different places in the Torah. It's not just another day to rest like some people think. Why God cares about 39 restrictions? Where did it come from? All this, you should not sow on Shabbat, you could not write certain things. Then comes the Chachamim, they made all these laws, muktzens and stuff. What for? If we would learn it once in the right way, our Shabbat would look 100 times better. Why we continue to violate the rules of Shabbat not knowing? Because we never learned it. Modesty. Everywhere I go, I'm talking religious girls. Not religious girls, they don't know what modesty is. Those who are coming from houses, they went to Bet Yaakov. Some of them, their father is a Rabbi. You look at the way the ladies dress today, out of 100 ladies, maybe 5 of them is modest. The rest have no idea what modesty is. I went to a place to a Shabbaton, a very big fancy synagogue with hundreds of people. For a second I thought I'm in a nightclub. Not one of the women over there was dressed according to the halacha. So the question is, are we really following the orders of God, or are we living in illusion like the Chilonim, like the non-religious Jews? Are we any better than them? Because we're supposed to do the truth. We know the truth. That's the question that we have to answer. Going back to the situation. For the next few years, the situation financially is going to be a lot worse. In America, it's the heart of the world. Everything that happens here, a few months later, goes to the rest of the world. Like to Israel now, just today they announced on the news, for every open job, they have 11 people are fighting for the job. For every job. 11. And they're all professional. 11 engineers come for the job. Doctors, 11 doctors. Lawyer, 11 lawyers. That means one will get the job, 10 families will be hungry for bread. Even though he went to college for 8 years. Even though he worked in the last 10, 15 years and made nice profit, and he has large bills to pay because he lives in a nice house and he has 1 or 2 cars, and all of a sudden his income is 0. And now, how long it's going to be 0? Maybe 6 months, maybe 6 years. We don't really know what's going to be. The problem is when the economy is bad, that the crime rate goes higher and higher. More and more dangers are coming into the picture. There used to be days in this country that you couldn't walk on the street. In certain neighborhoods, the people were not able to pay their bills. Every person that went with nice clothing or pocketbook or anything like that got mugged with a gun. People were afraid to pass through those areas. You go there, if you come out alive, you have to make a gomel. Are we going to go back to those days? I'm not a prophet, I don't know, but common sense says that we are going into the worst time in a very, very long time. All the major banks, the major companies, obviously they all collapsed. It was all a balloon, an illusion. Then it takes time. People don't understand that 1 year, it's not enough indication to know where we're standing. Now, why Hashem is doing it to us? That's the question. All right, we had a few good years. Some of us knew to save money for bad times. Most of us thought the situation will be great forever. The question is why Hashem took away all the money. I just heard on the way here that one of the fanciest yeshiva in Brooklyn, from a very rich community, they just paid $20 million to make the building, they're going bankrupt. That next year they're going to make it public school. Why? Because they want help from the government. Maybe a year from now the government won't have money to give them, the way things are going. Doing what I do, I get to meet people, what we call important people from different industries, and one of my friends, he knows some insight from the government. He's in charge with CIA, FBI, some agents of the government. He tells me what we call inside information, behind the scene. So 2 things he told me. One thing he told me, that the Arabs, the terrorists, are planning a massive terrorism attack in Lakewood to kill thousands of Jews. It's been going on for a while already. They're trying to find the source. That's one thing he told me. You don't hear it on the news. Hopefully it will never happen. Second thing he told me, that Obama, the president, were begging, that's about a week ago, to the Arab leaders of Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, all these rich Arab countries, that they must invest hundreds of billions of dollars in America. If not, America will collapse completely. And if it will happen, then they will lose all their investment, because anyway they already own a large portion of the American economy, the Arabs. One person, one Arab person owns 7% of the United States. Did you know that? One Prince Bandar, that's his name. When he comes to America, there's hundreds of police cars around him. He controls everything. He gets the president whenever he wants. He can call his cell phone at 2 o'clock at night. The president will answer. He doesn't want to mess with him. Why? They own so much here. They buy real estate, buildings, streets, malls, anything you can think of, because they had few good years of the oil. They used to sell a lot of oil. They made trillions of dollars. They don't know where to invest the money. Where can they invest all this money? They're not going to buy street in Saudi Arabia. Most of Saudi Arabia is desert. It's only a few cities. So they already own it anyway. So they're buying in Japan, they're buying in England, they're buying here. So they have to now bring more hundreds of billions. If not, we're going to collapse. But an hour later, when he comes on the news, he's saying that the economy is getting better. There's signs of improvement in few months. Why? Why they lie all the time on the news? Because if they will tell you the truth, you know what's going to happen? It's going to be a lot worse. Because the people who have money to spend, they're not going to have any confidence to spend. So every store will be empty. Every mall will be empty. People will not be able to pay their rents. There will be thousands of vacant lots and stores and buildings. Nobody pays their rent. It's going to be a revolution here. Nobody knows what's going to happen. And then it leads to violence, to murders, to all kinds of robberies. Hopefully, we're not going to get to it. But situation, if you really follow, you see, the point is not to live in illusion. Many of us are lying to ourselves about our personal situation and about the general situation. Don't worry, everything will be fine. Who told you? The Jews in Germany, they also thought everything will be fine. Every week something new came to the picture. Now you cannot sit on a bench. It's only for non-Jews. Jews cannot sit on a bench. You go on a bus, you cannot sit in certain chairs. It's for Jews and non-Jews. How much more you need to know that you got to run away from that place? Things will only get worse. And most Jews didn't leave. They waited until the last second and couldn't leave anymore. Why? Why the Jews didn't escape to the United States? They could come to the United States. It was free traveling. They could buy a ticket, get on a boat, come to America. 70 years ago. They didn't do it because they had real estate. They had good jobs. Judges, lawyers, doctors. It took them years to go to college. By the time they open a firm, they're working now, they're afraid to lose their job. Bottom line, no confidence in Hashem. If I'm going to leave my job, what am I going to eat in America? I don't speak English. I'm going to go to a foreign country. I'm going to come with few children, land in the United States in a seaport, Lower East Side. Some of them did it. Those who were clever, they came to Lower East Side. Why Lower East Side became a Jewish neighborhood? Because the nature of the Jews is when they go to a foreign country, anyway, they don't know the language. The first place where they see, they begin to buy. They bring some money in their suitcases. They came to Seaport. They walk 5 minutes. They started to see Essex Street, Allen Street, East Broadway, and they started to buy. They knock on the doors. They saw Americans here. How much is this building? Whatever. Can we buy it? And that's how they started. They started to buy businesses. And about 20, 30 years later, it became like Borough Park. This is the way it is. So look at where the Jews came. Where they landed, all around the area of the port, it's Jews. Borough Park, Williamsburg, Lower East Side, then Staten Island. All these places that the Jews came, they stayed there. Later, when the Holocaust started, after so many Jews died, the survivors came to America. When they came to America, it's a famous story, right by the Statue of Liberty over there. Their relatives were coming to welcome them. And while they were waiting until they bring a ramp for the people to get off the boat, their Jewish relatives, which were very wealthy here in America, they say, I wish you would come here a week earlier. You just missed Moishi Bar Mitzvah in a Plaza Hotel, in a Hilton Hotel, whatever. And they got so frustrated. They just came from the nightmare of Auschwitz and Germany and all these places. Some of them took their tefillin and threw it into the water. That's how depressed they were. All their relatives died. One survivor here, one cousin. They have nothing left in their life. Not $1, nothing. And all of a sudden, the American relatives here in America, living a fancy life, bow ties, orchestra, Plaza Hotel, dancing, no problem, business as usual. Their relatives are butchered across the ocean and they live normal. When we don't have unity, we don't have a future. History shows. When the Jewish nations was united together, we had big success. Even when the king was wicked, like in the time of Ahav, the husband of Izebel, one of the worst kings in history. They won all the wars. Chazal asked, how such a wicked person win? Because they had unity. People had unity, it brings power. Even wicked people, all the wicked people gather together, Hashem loves unity. That's what happened in the Babylonian towers. They all were united to go against Hashem. Can you believe such a thing? Thousands of wicked people made one hand to go and fight against Hashem. They want to make a huge building to go and fight against Hashem. What happened? Hashem came and changed their languages, confused them. Why? To create problems. No unity, they cannot succeed. To teach us a lesson. When you're united, you'll be successful. When you're one against the other, there's no future. One officer came to Rav Chaim Volozhin in the time of Napoleon. He was in the army of Napoleon. The French went against the Russians. And when they came to Volozhin, he wanted to meet the rabbi of the Jews. So they brought him over there. He comes with his French uniform. Now the French army was all kinds of soldiers that used to get paid to be in the army. Napoleon occupied many countries. So he had many soldiers in his army, different languages, different mentality, different nationalities. And whoever wanted to be a soldier got paid, and he came into the army. The Russians, there was only one army, all Russians from Russia. So he came to Rav Chaim Volozhin and he asked him, Rabbi, are we going to win the war or are we going to lose the war? So he told him, you're going to lose the war big time. The Russian will crush you. Right in his face. He got very angry. How are you telling me such a thing? He said, what do you expect me to tell you a lie? I'm telling you the truth. I'm preparing you. What makes you think so? He asked. So he said, I'll tell you a story you understand. What's the story? One rich guy had a carriage with 4 very expensive horses. One horse he bought in England, one horse in Saudi Arabia. The top horses that he found, he gathered them into one group. And now he's sitting in his carriage and he's driving. One time he went to a swamp. It's all muddy there. The wheels of the carriage got stuck in the mud. He hits the horses, they can't move. Try to get out of the mud, the carriage is stuck for an hour. Then after an hour, another guy, a poor guy, comes with a poor, ugly carriage. 2 horses, very skinny. Not like his horses, they're very healthy. 2 horses, very skinny, old. They don't worth a penny. They come into the swamp, into the mud, 1, 2, 3. 1 second they got stuck, up they came out. The rich guy cannot believe. He said, how can it be? This guy hit the horse once, 1 time with a whip, and they came out of the swamp. And I'm beating them up for an hour already, and they're not coming out. And this is the best horses in the world. So Rav Chaim Volozhin told him, what's the secret in this story? The first rich guy, he bought 4 horses in 4 different places. Each one of them grew up separately. And they hate one another, because each one comes from a different race, different place. They're not the same. One Arab horse, one European horse. So when the guy was beating up the Sephardi, the Ashkenazi was making a party. When he was beating up the Ashkenazi, the Hasid was making a party. When he was beating up the Hasid, the Yemenite was making a party. You understand? You have 4 different horses. That's why when he hit one horse, the other 3 are celebrating. They're not interested to get out of the mud because they think the other guy is suffering. The other 2 is brothers. Same nationality. They grew up in the same place. The poor guy used to bring them straw to eat every day. They grew up together. They united. When he was beating up the first horse, the other one felt the pain. So they together was doing their best to come out of the swamp. That's called unity. If, when one Jew, no matter who he is, will get a whip on his back, all of us would suffer, we would look a lot different than today. The problem is everybody cares about himself. The famous question that everybody asks, when Hashem brought the Holocaust to us, and 6 million of us were butchered with such cruelty that nobody remembers such a thing, why did he kill religious people? People went to the Askala, they went against Hashem, they took off their yarmulke, they went to colleges, they forgot about the Torah, they changed their names to Goyish names, they ate non-kosher food, they didn't care about synagogue. So they violated all the rules of the Torah. The Torah is very clear. If you're going with my Torah and follow it, I will reward you. If you rebel against my Torah, I will strictly punish you. That answers the question. But what are you going to say when rabbis went into the gas chambers? Religious people, right? Everybody asked this question. Same question today. 1 out of 8 women in the world has breast cancer. 1 out of 8. It's become an epidemic. Every 10 years, the numbers are worse and worse. They don't know what to do. They try this, they try that. They don't understand the cause of the problem. So then when the rabbis say it's because of lack of modesty, problems with modesty, everybody jump and say, what are you talking about? Religious women also get it. They are not... There's no separate statistic for them. They're part of the statistic. So basically it's the same question. Why religious people get the same punishment like non-religious people? It seems like there's no supervisor here. It's all nature. Coincidence. Next time somebody tell you this, don't fall into that trap. There's no coincidence. Everything is supervised 100%. So why we are suffering? Why we are going bankrupt? Why our children are suffering in hospitals? Why? Why it happens to us? It's not supposed to happen to someone who follows the Torah. The answer is because many of us don't follow the Torah. We are fakers. We are not really following the Torah. And if you want to argue with me, I will give you 1,000 examples that we are not following the Torah. So don't start. And for those of us who follow the Torah, obviously, some of us do listen to Hashem. The answer is because when we see our brothers and sisters with the earring right here and 500 tattoos all over their bodies, starting the car on Shabbat and going with Christine to the beach, it doesn't burn our hearts. If it would burn our hearts, Hashem would care about us. Since we do not care about Hashem, why should He care about us? It's all measure for measure. When the father is suffering that one of his sons is lost on the street, drug addict, is on the street, is getting beaten up by criminals, and he has a brother who is wealthy in a mansion and he doesn't care about his brother, it's impossible to say that he is good for the father. I'll tell you a story. One father had 10 children, 9 very poor and 1 very wealthy. From the time the wealthy son became wealthy, he took care of all his father and mother's need. Everything. Was paying their mortgage, give them food, cleaning lady, anything you can think of. Just say it, it's yours. Free credit card. Very nice son, no? Who doesn't want a son like this? So, after 25 years, he's about to die, the father. He got very old. He gathered his 10 children, and he say, I want to speak to each one of you a few minutes. So he said to the rich guy, you stay on hold, let me first finish with them. Each one of them, he hugs them and kisses them. I love you, you're very good to me all these years. Goodbye, I give you blessing. Finish with them, they all move to the side. Then comes the rich guy and say, if he took care of he gave such nice blessing to my 9 poor brothers, imagine what a blessing he's going to give me now. So the guy comes, the father begins to yell at him, shame on you, you're a horrible son, I can't forgive you, you hate me. And I say, hey, it's me. I took care of you 25 years. What are you talking about? They did nothing for you. You made a mistake here. I know exactly what you did. You paid the bills, you did this, everything is fine. That's not an indication you love me. So what do you mean? Say, very simple. 25 years, you see that I'm suffering, that my 9 other children are starving for bread. They're poor, they cannot pay their bills, they suffer so much, they lose their home, each one with his problems. You could have taken care of all of them 1 to 3, you have plenty of money, you're very wealthy. You could have each one of your brothers and get him into business, get him a nice job, help him with a house, give him some monthly money to help him, send the kids to yeshiva. You could have done it. You're a millionaire, billionaire, whatever. You only took care of me. You didn't take care of your brothers. That shows that you hate me, you don't love me. Because if you love me for real, you would save me all the agony that I had watching my 9 other children suffering. This is the reason why we are suffering. Because we're egoistic. Each one of us cares only about his own children and wife, and that's just about it. That's it. That's the situation. But that's against the rules of the Torah. The Torah says, "V'chai achicha imach." You could not live alone. Make sure your brother lives with you. Which means, if you see there are so many Jews cannot send their children to yeshiva, and they go to public school and marry Christine and Mrs. Williams and Mr. Bruce Lee and all these nationalities and leave Judaism and become Goyim, and you have millions of dollars laying somewhere and you don't care. You don't care about me. I see my children are getting lost and you celebrate with your new $100 million yacht when you could have saved thousands of Jewish kids. You claim that you like me, but I keep Shabbat. You keep Shabbat because you're afraid to go to hell. That's the truth. You think if you keep Shabbat, you're not going to go there. But I have news for you. You had to do a lot more. The indication if you love Hashem or not is when you do things that not necessarily you are obligated to. Nowhere in the Torah says that you have to go and save every Jew. But you have to show that you care. Rav Zilberstein once said something amazing. All of us getting every day at least 10 envelopes from all kinds of charitable organizations. This yeshiva, Bikur Choli, Matzala, this yeshiva, that rabbi, cancer kids, so many envelopes. Most of us are not rich. What can we do? We can hardly pay our own bills, especially today. So what do? We don't even open these envelopes. We throw them right to the garbage. You see right away, they all look the same. It's like they all came from one place, but it's different. It's letters. Somebody, a rabbi from Lakewood, he needs help. Somebody is dying, somebody needs a surgery. So Rav Zilberstein says, obviously Hashem knows that we cannot send them even $10 to each one of them. If we had to send each one of them $10, some of us maybe can, but some of us cannot. So what the point is, why should I waste my time on it? Anyway, I cannot help these people. Wrong. You can help them just as much as the wealthy guy by opening it and having a broken heart for 2 minutes with this widow, with this yeshiva that is about to be closed. That's called Noseh Ba'ol im Chavero. If you suffer with your fellow Jews, with your brothers and sisters, that shows you care about Hashem. You don't care. You hear on the news, this one lost his house, another Jew goes to jail for 30 years, thousands of people lost their money with Madoff. What does it have to do with me? I did not invest. Yes.
But when you hear it on the news, you suffer for them. Like you feel sorry, you feel bad.
That's it. That's what it needs to be done. Needs to be. We have to share the pain with all of our brothers and sisters. If you don't care about them, God forbid, the test is that tomorrow you're going to be in the same situation. The world is a circle. One time you're down, the next time you're up, you can go down again. Everything is measure for measure. Yes.
Take everyone's burden upon yourself. How can you function in your own everyday life?
You're right. The idea is, you have to understand, if a very rich guy walks on the street and he see a Jewish guy, very poor guy, his donkey collapsed. He has to come and help him picking up the flour bags. It's a very important guy, you know, he owns a bank. He walked in the street, and he saw the worker, the Jewish worker, now his donkey is on the floor. I'm going to come and pick it up. So he has two options. One is to buy everything, give him the money, buy everything, and say, leave him alone. Let the donkey go, forget about the merchandise. I own it, it's mine, leave it here. I pay you the money for that, don't bother. That's one option. But if he doesn't do it, then he must pick up the bags with him. Why? It's an important guy. You see, Hashem doesn't care, important, unimportant. The same thing here. It's true that we have our own problems. We have plenty of problems on our own. But we still see throughout the Torah that the Torah is very sensitive to the people around us. And Hashem knows that if you care for others, your heart will not collapse completely. He will give you the strength to tolerate the pain. We say every day in a prayer, Baruch Gozer Umkayem. You know what it means? What does it mean, Baruch Gozer Umkayem? Bless he the one who make the decree. He is the one who gives us the energy, the strength to deal with that decree. Before the decree is coming, the cure is coming first. Just sometimes it takes time to find the cure. Many, many times in life it's like this. First comes the cure, but it takes time to find it. Then comes the decree. Sometimes we don't see that the decree is actually a cure. I'll give you an example. There's one guy in Israel, he was working in the Dead Sea factories for 30 years. Now he became 55. He has to retire. They have two pension plans in Israel. Early pension and normal pension, when I think it's 62 or 65. When the guy came to 55, the manager calls him up and says, we want to fire you, and we're going to pay you your compensation, you know, all the payments that we owe you. Why you want to fire me? No, you're a very good worker, you're very loyal. We have to fire workers, you know. We have to. So who are we going to fire? 25, 30 years old with children that's just starting their life? Or somebody like you that can live with your pension and not starve? So we have our, you know, we have our choices. We have to make the right choices. This is our priorities. We want to keep the young workers. So the guy doesn't give up. No, what are you talking about? He goes to the manager above this manager, and to the one above, until he got to the president of the company, the head of all this huge factory. And he say, I want you to get me back on my job. I don't want to quit. I still have 10 years to work. I have nothing to do at home. So the guy say, okay, let us think about it. I'll give you an answer in a few days. A few days later, he sends him a letter. I'm sorry, we're firing not only you, all the people who reach 55 and older, we fire them. You have $300,000 waiting for you. Please go to the office, collect your check. He went to the rabbi. He's a religious guy. Comes to the rabbi, tells the rabbi the story. Rabbi, I want to appeal in court against the business. They cannot fire me like this. So the rabbi told him, what kind of Jew you are? Don't you know that the Torah told us that we have to make a little effort? Not too much. Just a drop of an effort. 2%, 5%, that's it. The rest is not in our hand. The Torah warns us, Kochi ve'otzem yadi asali tachayil hazeh. My strength and my talent is bringing me all this success. It's out of Hashem vocabulary. He doesn't want to hear about people like this. You have to know and live every second of your life knowing Hashem is doing everything for me. I just move my hands a little bit here and there, trying, buying, selling a little bit. The rest is not in my hand. Same thing with shidduch, same thing with children, with everything. You tried 99% already. Leave something for Hashem. Soon you're going to be Hashem. Leave something for Hashem. Hashem has a plan for you. What do you so worry? Take the money and we'll see what's going to be next. Okay, Rabbi, I'm relaxed now. He went, he took the $300,000 check. He went right away and put the money to buy 3 apartments to his 3 children, 2 boys and a girl. He bought 3 apartments with the money. A week after, he got a massive heart attack. Massive heart attack. They took him to an emergency room. By a miracle, the doctor saved his life. He was in intensive care for months. That's it. He cannot move anymore. He couldn't go back to work. What's this? This is the story, the mashal. What's the nimshal now? If he would continue to fight with them and would not take the check a week earlier, he wouldn't even get 100,000. Because once you quit or you go into a war against the company, automatically you lose this special pension that you have. So when they fire you, they have to pay you full pension. But if you quit, you get a third. So this guy was thinking, Hashem is punishing me, is taking away my job, what's going to be, I have to fight. In the end, Hashem is giving him a gift. Because of whatever reason, all his sins that he made, Hashem decided to give him a punishment, and he made him a heart attack. Nothing happened by coincidence. Every scratch we get, it's a punishment. Remember this. The Chazal say, "En yisurim belo avon." You itch your head, Hashem had to approve it in Rosh Hashanah. Because if you didn't deserve it, you wouldn't need to itch your head. An apple fell from the tree on your head and not your friend's head. It was planned for you, not for him. No coincidence. A terrorism attack, pieces are flying all over. The guy that got it, he is the one that Hashem wanted him to get it. Some people forget that there's a boss to the world. What a bad luck. I wish I would leave the house an hour later. All this thinking, it's called kfirah. Lack of knowledge how Hashem runs the show. Everybody gets what he deserves, for good and for bad. In the long run, it's all for good. That's what the Gemara says. Ba'olam hazeh, in this world, for every bad decree, for every bad news, we say Baruch Dayan HaEmet. For every good news, what are we saying? For every good news? Huh? Every good news that Hashem is giving, everyone who dies or have a tragedy, what do we say? Baruch Dayan HaEmet. Every good news we say Agomel HaChayavim Tovot, Shegmala Nichot Tuv, every good things that happen to us. So Ba'olam Haba, in the next world, everything, there's no Baruch Dayan HaEmet, the Gemara says. This bracha doesn't exist in Olam Haba. Why? So one of the rabbis say, from here we see that we have bad things in Olam Haba. But we just don't say Baruch Dayan HaEmet. Otherwise it's needless to say. Why the Gemara say in Olam Haba, you're not going to have to say Baruch Dayan HaEmet. So he said in Olam Haba, when you review your life retroactive, you see that every bad that happened to you was the best thing could happen. Since you don't know the entire movie, you only see parts, you can put them together, so everything looks bad to you. And you know what? Nobody is ever satisfied from his situation. This is the nature of the human being. He buys a brand new car. 1 month he's very excited. After that, it's nothing special. It's like a bus for him. Where is the excitement? People who think that they will reach pleasure and excitement in this life, to begin with, they miss the purpose of life. This life we were not put here to enjoy the sushi and the pizza across the street, like some of us think. We were not put here to be every Passover in a different hotel and go on a cruise and take our children here and there on Chol HaMoed, like some people think. Rabbi, it's very good. It's raising children, you know. If we follow the laws of the Torah, we'll be very amazed the demand of Hashem from each one of us here. Some of us, we are so in love with this world, that's why we're so disappointed and so depressed that we became poor now, or we don't have a job. Someone who knew that this world is not to be here forever, it's only to visit here and to move on, he doesn't eat his heart. If a person has a week to be in a tent, and then after that he moves into a nice mansion, does he care if the tent has a leak? He eats his heart for it. The air condition is not working so well in a tent. No, come on. It's a few more days, we're moving on. Who cares? This is the problem. When you think you came here forever, the Yetzer Hara is a genius. He blinded us completely and we can't see. So we're always upset, always depressed. The guy didn't fix, the air condition doesn't work, we didn't get the right food. Finally, they brought you a beautiful wall unit. They always have a scratch. Always. Why? Why Hashem makes sure every delivery you had from the creation of this world until today came defected? Why? To remind us, that's not what I put you here. You're in love too much with this material world. Material is temporary. It's not the real life. I saw a few hands here. Yes?
Well, when you were talking about like how with the Holocaust in Germany, like the first signs of bad things. Like,
I didn't finish that yet, by the way. I didn't finish it.
The United States. So
yeah.
Over here, in our situation, if you compare it to that, where are we supposed to run away to? I don't understand.
To run away, it's not the right expression because nobody can run away from Hashem. You know, did you ever see a horse when he goes to drink in the lake, what happened to him? Whenever you see a horse drinking from a lake, you see that his leg, the front legs are always goes like this on the water. He hit the water. Why? What's the connection? Now drinking with his mouth and hitting the water. The horse thinking, there's another horse drinking from my water. So he's trying to fight him. He doesn't know it's him. You see another horse on the water, in his mind, 100%. He thinks somebody comes to steal my parnasa. So I got to make sure I'm protecting myself from him. There's something else about the horse. When someone sits on a horse and the horse is running, how do we make the horse run faster? By hitting him. Right? We have a whip and we hit him on the side, and the horse understands that by us hitting him, he has to run faster. Who told him that? Maybe we want him to stop. If you hit a person, he stops right away. He doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't run faster. You hit somebody, he gets nervous. But the horse, no matter how many times you hit him, he's going to run faster and faster. In the mind of a horse, when the whip is after him, he's trying to run away from the whip. So he's going to run faster and faster and faster. So David HaMelech saying Tehillim, I'm sure you read it many times, Al tiyeh kasus kapered. Don't be a horse and a mule. If you behave like them, you cannot run away from the pain and what happens. There's one way only to save ourselves from the situation. We have to do what's in our hand. The rest is not in our hand. What's going to happen in the world, atomic bomb, Iran, the war, a nuclear war, who knows? Many things can happen. It could be such a starvation that, like in the time of Egypt, nobody will be able to buy anything. It's going to be such recession, depression, crime on the street. We'll have to hide under our Persian rugs. Who knows what's going to be in the world? You know, so many things that we bought for a lot of money, for tens of thousands of dollars, 2 or 3 years from now could worth zero. Because nobody to buy. You know, the Jews in Germany, they were very wealthy, very successful, even more than here today. And when they made a decree that they don't have access to their ATM machine, to the banks, they can't get cash out of the banks. There was no ATM machines, but they cannot get cash from the bank. Overnight, their beautiful chandeliers and Persian rugs, antique and all kinds of beautiful art pictures that was worth fortune, they gave it for peanuts, just to have another day food. That's what happened. All of a sudden, everything lost its value. Why? Because the Goyim knew. The Jews have nothing to do with this. Nobody will buy it from them. So some Goyim were brave to come quietly and buy whatever you have for a few dollars. We only can do what Hashem told us to do. The rest is not in our hand. Whatever happened to us, it's not in our hand. Except if we follow Hashem's instruction, which means modesty, being humble, not being greedy, being honest in a business. You know, one of the problems that we have today, I'm talking religious people, that we're not honest in a business. In the Holocaust, after the Russians and the Americans came and the war was over and they released the Jews from the camps, they brought cases of food, tuna cases, rice, whatever, they threw it over there for the Jews to eat. You know, I don't have to tell you how they looked. After the Americans turned around and left them over there, the Polish Goyim came and took axes and smashed their heads. They killed thousands of Jews. Yeah. The survivors, the Polish Goyim came and killed them. Many years later, in one interview, they asked them, why did you go after what the Germans did to the Jews in your land? When they finally, some of them survived, why did you feel that you have to go and finish the job? They say because we can never forget how the Jews used to trick us in the business in Poland before the war. So we wanted to finish the revenge. This is the problem. The Torah says, Mi ya'aleh be'ar Hashem. Mi ya'aleh be'ar Hashem. Neki chapayim uvar levav. What does it mean, neki chapayim? Someone whose hands are completely clean. Completely. Which means not stealing from anyone, include from the goyim. There's no permission in the Torah to steal from them. So we have to keep Shabbat 100%. We have to give the right education to our children. We have to know what's the purpose of life. We have to learn Torah. Ladies have to learn Torah. Some ladies think Torah is only for the men. How she's going to know to keep Shabbat? How she's going to know to cook? Not to have problems with worms, with non-kosher food, with all kinds of things, with blessing, with all kinds of things that in her life, modesty, general knowledge in the Torah, Parashat HaShavua, things like this, we have to know. So the answer is, to run, it's not the solution. If we guilty, God forbid, we run to China, Hashem will find us there. Cain was trying to run away from Hashem. Did it help him? He was hiding. Hashem came to him. What are you doing here? So he's trying another trick to lie to Hashem. Hashomer achi anochi. What do you want from me? Do I have to know where my brother is? He just killed him and he asked, is that my responsibility to know where he is? It didn't help. We are not getting the point here. The point is it's time to wake up. The situation is not so good.
Wouldn't you say, though, that in order to be a good Jew, that it's very expensive in general?
Yes.
Like, in order to keep Shabbat and do all these mitzvot?
It's more expensive than to be a goy, yes.
Yes.
No. So generally, from all the nations in the world, who is the wealthiest nation always in history? The Jews. Why Hashem made it? Because the one who give us the test, make sure to give us the ability to pass the test. Did you ever see a father coming to a 3-year-old baby and ask him to pick up the fridge on his back and pick it and walk 4 stairs up with the fridge? And if not, I'm going to kill you. Did you ever see a father like this? What happens if you see a father comes to his baby, pick up the fridge on your back, if not, I'll kill you right now? What will happen to this father? Put him in a mental house. It's crazy, no? So what are you saying? That Hashem is worse than him? If Hashem told us to keep Shabbat, and this is our test, He has an obligation to give us enough money to keep Shabbat. Hashem never said that we have to make a Shabbat with $150,000 for breakfast. Like I just went to a place somewhere in Brooklyn after the davening. I always see new things in my life. Just when I think this is the maximum I will ever see, Hashem say, hey, you haven't seen nothing yet. After the davening, they said there is a kiddush downstairs. I'm not telling you the place because I don't want to speak Lashon Hara. But we went down to the downstairs to the place, my friend and I. And I've been in some weddings in my life of fancy people. Like top fanciest people in the world. Very famous people, whatever, in the many years that I went to weddings. But what I just saw last Shabbat, I never believe I can see. Kiddush in a synagogue after the davening of Shabbat. Did you ever believe that they're going to spend $150,000 on food when the rest of the world is starving? That's what I saw. Not exaggerating. 20 different kinds of meat, waiters, bow ties, cutting the meat, so many desserts, maybe 50 different kinds of desserts. So much money, whiskey bottles, all kinds of salads and food and more and more and more. I was thinking to myself, wow, the yeshiva can survive 5 years with the amount of food they're going to throw today to the garbage.
And also, a lot of parents...
Hashem didn't say that Shabbat has to be like this.
Yeah, but a lot of people that can't afford, they take their children out of yeshiva. Is that fair?
You're right. I am not saying the situation is perfect. Hashem gave enough money to the Jewish nation. Enough. The problem is that the messengers, the 10% who receive all the billions and the trillions of dollars, they forgot their mission in life. You understand? If the king has an assistant and he takes a bag full of diamonds and he gives it to his assistants. He said, go to this town, take all the poor people, each one of them give 1 diamond. It should be enough for them to live for the whole year. And the assistant took the money and kept it for himself, all the diamonds. What happened? The rest of the people in the town are starving. Hashem sent us enough money for all the Jewish people all over the world. The people who received the money, instead of giving it to the people, they gave it to Madoff. You understand what happened? Or, before they die, they make sure to donate it to the United Negro Fund. $100 million. You know how many Jews like this? Or to all kinds of universities. Why? Why they want to donate money to universities when they teach in the universities that we came from the monkeys and they hate Hashem in the universities? Why a normal Jewish guy would want to give $100 million to university? Instead of taking it and sending thousands of kids to yeshiva for the rest of their life. For the rest of their life. You know, there's one guy, when he used to have a grocery, he sent 2 people to yeshiva. That's a grocery guy. He wasn't a rabbi, nothing. One guy came to him and said, I want you to sponsor 2 kids to go to the yeshiva. So for many years he was paying their tuition. That's the maximum we could afford. Each one of them became Gdolador in America. The 2 biggest rabbi in America is these 2 guys that this grocery guy was sponsoring. Why? When Hashem sees that a Jew really wants to do the mitzvah from all his heart, he helps him more than others. You need a zchut to merit to do the mitzvah right. What do you think? We take it for granted. If we knew the reward of each little mitzvah that we did, we would go out of our mind from the amount of reward that Hashem owes us for what we already achieved. But we take it for granted. We don't care. When it comes to mitzvot, each one of us is generous. You do it. Go, you. No problem. When it comes to money, I will come. I'm first. I'm ahead of you. But when it comes to do mitzvot, we're very generous. You do it. Come on, that's okay. No problem. I'm not getting hurt. You do. Why? You don't believe in Hashem. You believe in Hashem. Some people tell me, I do the mitzvah not for the reward. Rabbi, you always talk about the reward. I always speak in my lectures about DVDs. This costs $1 to make. I always tell people, be clever. You got to give 10% from your income anyway. You have to give. Hashem attached to our salary 10% that is not ours. It's called maaser. This besides charity, it's tzedakah. 10% it's not yours. You cannot steal from Hashem. You are a messenger. Even poor people. It could be $100 a month. Whatever is 10% is. It doesn't matter.
It's not taxes?
So the idea is that's from the net income. From the net. After expenses, taxes. Let's say you had, I don't know, $4,000 income after all your expenses. You got to give $400. It's not yours. It's your choice who to give it to. Now you got to be educated to know where to invest it. Why? You can take the $400 and invest it and have one mitzvah. Nothing special. You can invest it in a different way, same amount of money, and have trillions of mitzvot. Ignorance is very painful. If a person didn't make his homework when he dies, he comes to Hashem. Hashem says, I gave you thousands of dollars to give every month, and you gave. Let's see what happened from your money. For instance, some guys give it to the hospitals. They donate to a hospital. They get a special bill every month, donation to a specific hospital. So they give $1,000 a month to a hospital. What's going to come out of this donation to the hospital? Let's see. Tomorrow, one Arab guy will try to make a bomb to kill Jews, and something went wrong and he got hurt. He goes to the hospital. Your money saved this terrorist. Then your money saved so many anti-Semite people that dying for the Jews to die already. So hospital, they have opened doors to everyone. It can save Jews once in a while. It can save Jew haters. It can save terrorists. It can save people who violate the rules of Hashem and gets Hashem very angry. So who really saved these wicked people? Your money. What did you get from that? It's not in your hand. If you get lucky, maybe one religious, righteous guy will come and your $1,000 saved him. Very good. That, you got lucky. What's the chances it's going to happen? 1 to 1 million. However, if you take whatever, for the same $1,000, 1,000 DVDs, and make sure every month 1,000 non-religious people will get a 3.5-hour seminar. It will teach them that God exists. It would prove to them that the written and the oral Torah is divine. Nobody could ever write such a thing besides the creator of the world. It would teach them about the purpose of life. It will teach them there's life after life. It would teach them that for everything you do in your life, there is either a reward or a punishment. It's a free choice. It would teach them the difference between us to the other species in nature, all the animals. It would teach them the whole concept of the free choice. If Hashem knows the future, how is it possible each one of us has a free choice? It would teach them so many different things for $1. Now, 1,000 people, let's say 500 of them never watched it. They threw it to the garbage. From the 500 people who watched it, maybe only 100 pay attention to all the words, and it affected them. So one guy started to put tefillin. One girl left her boyfriend, which was not Jewish. One guy with his family will become Shomrei Shabbat. One guy will put finally mezuzot in his door. One guy will begin to sponsor DVDs on his own because he's liking it. So he's going to start sponsoring. Every mitzvah that gets done from your maaser goes to your account. You can become a billionaire when it comes to mitzvot by using your maaser money cleverly. However, most people don't know. So what do? They have a modern synagogue, that make a mixed dancing Hanukkah party. Well, I'm not mentioning names, so it's not Lashon Hara. What do? They bring all the young girls and the young guys, they mingle, they shake hands, some of them even do other things after, and you sponsor it. What came out of your money? 1,000 sins. Or you gave money to a not Shomer Shabbos guy, he took your money and he put gas in his car. What does he do with his gas? Drive on Shabbat. Every time he presses the car, the gas, he makes million cigarettes. It's like lighting million cigarettes. Who is his partner to the sin? Not intentionally. But ignorance is a problem. Hashem will ask each one of us, why did you die ignorant? So the answer is going to be, I was busy. I couldn't learn. And we know it's not the case. How much time we spend on radio? How much time we spend on newspapers? How much time we spend on all kinds of science books? Romance, shows here and shows there, and some people goes to the theater and all kinds of trips. This time was very valuable. We don't take advantage on the time. We die ignorant, and we think Hashem will understand me because I didn't do on purpose. I didn't really mean to be wicked. I just didn't know. So Chazal already answered this question. Someone who's bur v'am haaretz, which means complete ignorant, he could learn Torah and he didn't learn Torah. Harehu keboze Hashem. He is someone that cares Hashem every day. Why? He had the Torah in his hand, hundreds of books in his home, thousands of books in the synagogue, 40 years of life, 50 years of life that he can sit and learn an hour or 2 or 5 every day. And he wasted the time on baseball and football and fashion shows and all the rest of the things that we do. And in the end he comes to Hashem, what do you want? I didn't know you're not allowed to write on Shabbat. I didn't know you're not allowed to give money to someone who drives in a car on Shabbat. I thought you can give all the Jews equally. They're all Jews, no? So Hashem said, why didn't you open Shulchan Aruch? Shulchan Aruch explain who to give and who not to give. I went by my heart. This is what I started to say. One guy tells me, I give, I don't care what's going to happen. I don't do it for the reward. I give because I know I have to give maaser and that's it. Whatever happens for it, it's not in my hand. Wrong. If you talk like that, it shows that you don't believe in Hashem. Why? Because when it comes to business, you check 1,000,000 times. You want to invest $1 million in a company. You know how many months you check? Accountants, lawyers, check again, private investigators. Why? What do you care about the reward? Put the money. You make reward, fine. You don't make reward, let the money go. What's the problem? When it comes to real money, you care, you love it. So you want it right away, so you check. When it comes to reward for the mitzvot, anyway, you don't believe in it. You believe in Olam Haba. If you believe in it like you believe in the money, you kill yourself to invest your money right. You wouldn't waste the money on giving just somebody from the street that you don't know who he is. You would check 100 times. You'll be very surprised when you begin to check what happened with all the donations you ever made in your life. How many things that you wouldn't dare to agree for something like this to happen. Why? We're not checking. Yes.
You also just said that we also have to care about our brother.
Right.
What if our money is going because we care and our hearts are burning for this person? And
Right.
we really have the honest intention that he's going to do something positive with the money.
I answer your question.
Please do.
I did, but I will repeat it. That's why I didn't tell you not to care. I gave you two choices, and I told you which one is the correct one. When you have to give 100 or 1,000, the amount, it goes by percentage. Hashem doesn't judge us by how much money we really give. It goes by the percentage, 10%. That's an obligation. Someone who gave 1,000 a month and someone who gave 1,000,000 a month, each one of them fulfill his obligation. Hashem doesn't tell the one that gave 1,000, you did less than him. No. For me, 1,000, it's like 1,000,000 to him. It's the same ratio. Okay. So I said, when we finally want to do something for our brothers and sisters, we might as well save their soul for eternity. Not just buy them a meal or give them some money to drive on Shabbat to make their situation worse. That's not showing we care about them. If, chas v'shalom, we have our parents that don't keep Shabbat or they eat pork, we're going to go to the store to buy them pork and bring it to their table with our money? No. We're going to try to educate them to stop making their sins if we really care for them. Someone who loves his father is going to go and buy him drugs from across the street in Manhattan? If he loves his father, why? His father wants cocaine. What's the problem? Why? Because we don't want to kill them. Same thing, cigarettes even. Even cigarettes is not permitted to buy. People don't know the halachot. If your father say, go and buy me cigarettes, you have to do everything you can to avoid it. Unless if he really goes on his own and buy it, then anyway he's going to smoke. But if you wouldn't go, you wouldn't smoke. If you love him, you give him another 11 minutes of life. They show every cigarette cut their life by 7 to 11 minutes. Scientifically. Supposedly, they prove it. Yes?
And what you said before, if Hashem wants to see unity and we're just not helping Elusha Chokim from us, then that's not unity, and then how are we ever going to bring them closer?
Right. We got to bring them closer, but give them free DVDs. We give them free DVDs. If every Jew will give his 10% to make new DVDs, audio, videos of all the great speakers that we have in the world, and we have, Baruch Hashem, a lot of great talented speakers, all styles of speaker. Some people cannot tolerate what I speak, because the truth is very painful. So they cannot take it. When they hear it, they die inside. So it's very painful. It's like a doctor giving them a shot right now. So they die, they run like kids. They go to the dentist, they need root canal. What happened to some of the kids? They begin to scream, they run out. Some people knows it's painful, but it's necessary. It depends what kind of people we are. Most of us live in a lie. The Torah already gave an expression for us. Kisamnu, kazav, machsenu. Our habit is to hide behind the illusion, the false, the lies. We like to hide behind the lies. We always busy convince ourselves that my situation is great. That's very foolish. A clever Jew has to always check himself from hour to hour. What did I do wrong today? The greatest Jews in history, before they went to sleep, they reviewed their entire day. They had a diary. How many miracles Hashem made to me today? How many things happened thanks to my efforts? What did I do wrong today? How much Lashon Hara I spoke today? How many hours of Torah I learned I could have done better? Yes or no? What's going to happen tomorrow? What's my plans? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? And every second of their life, the kosher Jews were speaking to Hashem. Not only in Shul. Look at David HaMelech. Why I love Tehillim so much, besides the great words and all the requests and all these things. Because it shows that the richest and the greatest person in the world was so humble and connected to Hashem that every step he made, he was begging Hashem to help him. We that don't have a billionth of David HaMelech talent and success and achievement, we hardly speak to Hashem. Even when we go to shul, how do we speak to Hashem? Like a puppet. Ask a person, what did you just say in the last 3 hours in shul? Thinking about his business, audit that he has Monday, his guest, his parents coming from Israel, tomorrow he's going on vacation. Everyone is mind somewhere else. Not to talk about those who speak politics in a shul, and Lashon Hara and jokes. I once went to a shul, I saw in the middle of Shabbat, people open the New York Times on the table and read. There's tables in a shul, and people with beard. Open New York Times on Shabbat, no? You understand what can happen? So the point is, the conclusion of all this is, it's 100% in our hand to make the right choices. If you don't learn, you will never be able to make the right choices. Most of the wrong choices we make is because of ignorance. If we don't learn daily, if we don't read daily, musar, moral, we're not going to advance anywhere. You understand? Now remember, Hashem is choking us financially because He loves us. The Torah says in more than 100 places, not 1 or 2, to remove any doubt you may have. If I love you, I torture you. That's my way. Why? I'm a good father. A good father doesn't take his son every week on vacation and buy him 500 bikes a year. To break. No problem, I'll give you, or give him $1,000 to walk to school with that. Father like this destroyed his son before his life began. Nothing will come out of him. Forget it. He's not going to want Gemara. He's not going to want to learn. He's only going to want to celebrate. Don't be surprised that he's going to put a baseball hat and 5 earrings, age 18, and go to the clubs with Christine. But he grew up. We had the rabbi sleeping by us every Shabbat. Sure. We gave him a car, age 16, motorcycle, bank account, credit cards. Now he goes to college, he celebrates, pizza parties every night. You expect him to learn Gemara? Come on. You expect him to do mitzvot? You basically eliminated 90% of his free choice. Then you sit and cry, Hashem, why my son is going to marry Christine? Why? It's your fault. What? It's your fault. You send him over there. I just go sometimes to speak in universities. I see what's happening there. Just went to Toronto. I went to York University. I almost died there in the 2 hours I was there. I was thinking to myself, is somebody going to bring me a suitcase with $1 million cash for every day that I'm going to send my son there? I wouldn't agree. And I'm not exaggerating. And then people, why did I send their kids to these places? That maybe they'll get a job. That maybe they'll become a therapist or a doctor or a lawyer. Maybe. And if they will, maybe they'll find a job. And if they'll find a job, they make $60,000 a year, which every taxi driver makes anyway. So what's really the point is, prestige. What my friend's going to say about me? My son is a taxi driver? Come on, Rabbi. I want him to be a professional. 90% of the emails I get from girls or guys, when they ask for shidduch, first question, I'm looking for a professional. I never saw it as a requirement in the Torah. This is United States of America have their own Torah. We left Hashem Torah in the closet and we learned the Torah of whatever their names are. Why? Society determined for us what to do, what not to do. The Torah is the same Torah. The Torah is clearly for you and your children ad olam, for eternity. Hashem knew there's going to be colleges in the world. He knew. He knew there's going to be Mercedes in every driveway. He knew. He knew there's going to be fancy suits and fancy outfits. He knew. But He made the Torah the same Torah, same requirements. Why Hashem didn't make the Torah every 100 years a new Torah? New world, new Torah. Now we have electric, we have this, maybe there is a different Torah. No. Same Torah. Same requirements. You still have to be humbled. You still have to live simple life. You still have to love spirituality, not material. How many of us love spirituality? How many minutes a day we dedicate to our soul as comparison to how much we dedicate to our body? Review your day. From 24 hours, I'm willing to sign my life. 23 goes to the body. In the best scenario, 1 hour goes to the soul. It should be the other way around. All kinds of tapes, DVDs, this show, this party. Hundreds of times I asked people, where were you last night in a lecture? I went to a birthday party. When these Americans, nice people, no, God forbid, don't get me wrong, don't get the wrong impression. It's all by mistake, not intentional. Again, ignorance. It's all lack of knowledge. If these people would know what they gave up for a lousy party, for a cup of tea and some cream cakes, how much it costs them, they'll never forgive themselves. Multiplied by hundreds of birthday parties, how many lectures and Torah learning they wasted, and engagement party, and Sheva Brachos, and this, and this, and that. In the end, he doesn't have time to learn. The more popular you are, the more parties you are invited to. You're never going to have time to learn. And the more wealthy you are, the more you have to be in a business. You have responsibilities. You have to go from one business to the other. Everything goes to your body. Yes?
You said we have to learn Torah, but how does one start? Someone who doesn't have...
Today it's very easy. Today, the internet is cancer. Everybody knows it. But everything negative also have positive in it. It's our choices. You know how many people learn Torah in TorahAnytime.com? I don't know if you heard about this website. Has 4,000 lectures by now. There's 80 to 100,000 viewers a month. People are sitting between 1 to 2 hours every night listening. Guys, girls, all over the world. In my website, 30,000 viewers, only for me. Over there they have 130 speakers. But only me alone, between 20 to 30,000 viewers in my website, and it's growing, Baruch Hashem. What is this? People are learning Torah. So if for a girl it's impossible to go for daily learning, let's say it's impossible, she has kids, she has a husband coming home after all day, she didn't see him, there is some obligations in life, no problem. When everybody goes to sleep, the kids, the husband, 10:30, sit until 12, put in a bed, take your laptop, put your headphones, and listen to good lectures. Every day a lecture, in 1 year you'll be a speaker. How did you think I learned to speak? How did you think? I was listening to the greatest speakers, getting ideas, speaking to my friends, see that it's working like a magic. Speak to this guy, he left Christine. Speak to this guy, he cuts his ponytail. Speak to my cousin, Shomer Shabbat. Speak to the other guy, he goes to Yeshiva in Montreal. You know what? It's working, very good. So, with the food comes the appetite. You begin to eat, you become hungrier, yeah.
Sorry, Rabbi, but I just need to clarify something here.
No problem, that's why I'm here.
You're basically implying that we should really forget about social life altogether and just dedicate whatever time we have to Torah. Which I'm not saying is that we should not dedicate time to Torah. We absolutely should. But we also live in a world, and in the Torah it's also said that we should also be good person to another person, not just person.
It's all depends on how you define social life. Let's hear from you. What's for you considered social life? Social life can be translated in many different ways. I want to see how you understand the word social life. Explain me what you mean. Birthday party, it's a necessity. Every birthday party in a neighborhood, it's a necessity.
Necessarily, it might not be every single birthday party, but for example, if somebody invites you to a birthday party, somebody who considers you close to them, if you say to them, I'm sorry, I cannot come to your party because I have a lecture, that person could get offended.
Let me ask you a question. Would you agree to pay $10,000 to participate in that birthday party?
What do you mean?
Somebody very dear to you. Let's see, your sister's son. Your sister's son has a birthday. And she invited you. Your sister couldn't be closer than this. And the admission is $10,000 to go in. Would you go or not?
If it's your sister's child, I guess you should.
No, you wouldn't. For $10,000, you would do a lot of other things. You wouldn't go to that party for 2 hours spending $10,000. Even the wealthy people wouldn't do it. So the idea that I'm saying is, you can do whatever you want, it's your choice, but it has a price to pay. We are giving up something else. The idea in life is, what do I gain? What do I lose? That's always the idea. Women that dress with tight clothes, like so many religious girls today, that they know they have to wear skirt, they know they have to cover their arms and all these things. So they found a great way. Okay, since I have to wear skirt, what skirt she wear? Mini skirt. or above the knees and tight clothes and all kinds of material that it's stretched and it's attached to the body. So in a way, she's playing with herself and she's lying to herself. I wear skirt, like the rabbi say. I wear long sleeves. I wear everything is covered, nothing open. But in the end, she dressed not worse than a girl on the street. That I don't want to say how she dressed. Why? Because in her mind, she followed the halacha. It's again ignorance. The halacha does not permit women to wear tight clothes to their body. It's very clear. Cannot wear any tight clothes. Every girl that walks with tight clothes, it shows the shape of her body. People who look at her and have dirty thoughts, she participates in a scene of hundreds or thousands or millions of people who watch her in that year. Everyone who looked at her, everyone who thought about her, everyone who was thinking something dirty because of her dress or the way she dressed, she is guilty as much as them. And this is what I said before in the Holocaust. Why rabbis went inside the ovens? Why? They kept Shabbat. Their wives were modest 67 years ago. You know how modest the ladies was? I show you in my computer a clip. Hungarians, ladies that left Hashem, left the Torah, became in the Haskalah movement, the Shomer HaTzair, communist, anti-religious. They dance with guys, hora, in circles, with guys. One girl, one guy. One girl, one guy. Touching men. Women. Some of them married, some of them single. They dance all together in music, but look at the way they dress, you'll be impressed. I wish all the Rebbitzin today would dress like they used to dress 65, 70 years ago. You didn't have the kind of clothes we have today. So the idea is, just because most ladies do it, doesn't mean Hashem confirm and agree with that. That's the mistake that the Satan is making us fall into that trap. The Satan is a genius. He's here, it's almost 6,000 years. He knows all the psychologies of all people. And he finds always the way how to fool most people. Once in a while, you find a modest girl. Modesty, it's not only clothing. Modesty is speaking in front of men, being loud, speaking on the phone, the way she walks, the way she attracts attention. And every one of you knows 100% what I mean. In one of the lectures, one girl said to me, I do not dress the way I am because I want to attract attention from the guys on the street. You are assuming that, so you think that we are going against the halacha. No, I want to feel good with myself. It's nothing to do with them. So I asked her a question. I said, let me ask you one question, but be honest with me. You actually have to be honest with yourself. Just answer correctly. If your plane will crash in an island and you're the only survivor and you walked around in the island and you only saw lions and monkeys and elephants, no human being, how many minutes a day you would sit in front of the mirror with your makeup and your hair dryer and all these things? How long would you waste every morning for the monkeys to see your lipstick? She said, I wouldn't do it. See, you're doing it for the men. If you want to feel good with yourself, what's the problem? You're in the island. You want to feel good with yourself. You're alone, even no monkeys. Put your makeup 20 minutes a day. Make sure your clothes is very tight. Why? You want to feel good with yourself. Even the ladies that in their conscious are modest, sometimes in their subconscious, they are very not modest. Which means she understands where is the red line in her conscious, but there are things that makes her do difference from her subconscious. In her subconscious, she has the urge to do certain things. Where does it come from? From previous life sometimes. You know, how do we know what our main goal in life? How do I know I have to be a speaker? How do you know you have to do one thing? How does she know she has to do something? How everybody knows his mission in life? We all have to keep Shabbat. We all have to keep kosher. We all have to be modest. More or less, we have the same rules. Once in a while, we have unique rules. If I'm slaughtering cows, then I'm a shochet. I have to learn how to be a shochet. If I'm a doctor, I have specific rules. But how do we know our unique mission in life? Each one of us has something unique about us. The answer is, what? Two indications. What's the most difficult for you to do? That's your main test in life. What you have the most siyata dishmaya from Hashem, that's your main purpose in life. Which means, if you're a speaker and you see that Hashem gives you the talent and the charisma to affect people and it's working, and you always have the right things to say and to influence people, and then you know it's your purpose in life. If you try so many times and nobody wants to hear you, obviously it's not your purpose in life. You gotta go where your purpose is. Some people can be mohel in a breed, blood, this. They're not getting excited. Somebody else will cut and see blood, he faints right away. Cannot be a mohel. Everyone has attraction and siyata dishmaya to what Hashem wants him to do. That's one indication. The second one we seems to forget. Some people say, what do you want, Rabbi? I dress 80% modest. I keep Shabbat, I eat kosher, I do this, my kids go to yeshiva, I keep nida, I go to the mikveh. What else do you want? I read books, I learn Torah, everything fine. What don't you do? I can cover my hair. Why? It's very hard for me. But I wear modest, but that's only thing I cannot do. That's your main purpose in life. That's why the Satan is fighting with you about this thing more than anything else. Why? How do we know what we have to correct? Since we are babies, we bring every negative things from our previous life. In our previous life, in different body, we did some of the things good, some of the things we fail. For instance, if we were very generous and we gave a lot of tzedakah in our previous life, when we were reborn in a new body, we don't have any temptation and desire to be stingy. We hate stingy people, we're generous, we want to help, and it's very easy for us. I know a guy not religious. Look at him how he looks like a gangster. He calls me up, don't forget to come to me, I want to donate DVDs. He runs after me. From birth, you have to beg them to give $100 to save some Jewish people. You coming, right? Why? In his previous life, he was generous. Tell him to keep Shabbat, give him $1 million for Shabbat, that's a different story. Why? Every one of us brought the negative that we had from previous life. That's why some girls, they don't have desire to show their bodies. Naturally, they're modest. Why? They died modest. But they have other things to correct. That's difficult for them. I knew a guy, in 1 minute I made him Shomer Shabbos.
Wow.
Speaking to him, 1 minute I told him what Shabbat is. He said, you know what, in that case I keep Shabbat. Tefillin, months I had to beg him to put tefillin. Tefillin is 2 minutes a day. He put it, he says Shema Yisrael, he takes it off. He doesn't have to go to shul. The original mitzvah of tefillin is 2 minutes a day. What's the problem? He puts it, says Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokechem Emet, takes it off, he made the mitzvah. Every day I used to call him, you put tefillin, 5 o'clock, oh, not yet. Thank you for reminding me. Every day the same story. Why? That's his test in life. That's why tefillin is difficult for him. Shabbat, which is much harder for a non-religious guy to become Shomer Shabbat right away, because he died Shomer Shabbos. Everything it's difficult for us, this is our main test.
I was wondering, like, I understand that, if a person is reborn and they have a specific test that's hard for them as they grow and whatever you choose in this life, whether it's you're doing the wrong thing, you have to pay the price or you come to it. But what about, like the parents saying tefillah for their kids? Or, how does that affect or not affect? Meaning, like, if this is the way Hashem wants it. I was listening to one of your lectures and you were mentioning how this rabbi from Turkey not many years ago, like 18 of his children.
18 children died.
And you were saying, like, right after the Shiva, he just went right back and, went. And I understand the point of it is to say that, like, he accepts Hashem's, will, but at the same time, like, if you're on such a madrega, wouldn't... Like, how does it fit in?
Why Hashem sent him that test and not to me and you? Because with us, it would crush us mentally. He knows our ability. If he sent the test to this Rabbi Ashkenazi, his name was, from Izmir, from Turkey, he knew that he's a very high-level person, very big madrega. every one of his kids who died, eventually he's going to see them in 20, 30 years. It's not that he lost them. But the pain that he should have had and he overcome and continue to stay Torah brings him a lot of reward. Same thing for somebody like us to give a donation, even not a lot, it's a big test. Why? Because we're stingy, so we don't give. So when we finally give, it burns inside the heart. It's the same difficulty. Then you may tell me, what are you, crazy? You comparing giving $1,000 charity to losing a kid? What's the comparison? I'm 100% right. Chazal says something beautiful. Look, listen to this. I know it's a little long. You make you suffer 10 more minutes. Chazal say, Moshe and Aaron, sometimes the Torah mentions Moshe first, sometimes Aaron first. Lelamdecha, to teach us that they both equal. Then Gemara says, what do you mean equal? Hashem says in the Torah, nobody can ever be like Moshe. Ve'aish Moshe anav mikol adam, is the most humble person ever lived. Same thing, King Solomon is the smartest person ever lived. Moshe is the most humble person, perfect human being, midot, great personality, which means he's better than Aaron. But the Torah says, sometimes Moshe fails, sometimes Aaron fails, and Chazal, which they knew the secrets of the Torah, they teach us that they are 100% equal. How is it possible? It looks like a contradiction. Aaron in Shamayim is righteous like Moshe, even though Moshe was in a higher level. It doesn't go by how you died. It goes by how much you achieved. When you're born, each one of us born with something in our back, which means I'm born with 20, she's born with 30, she's born with 40. We're born already with something that we brought to our life. Not everyone is the same. You see kids, some of them smarter, some of them love Torah more, some of them hate. We have difficulties. Each one of us didn't come here in the same level. Now, somebody who came here in a level 40 and achieved 30, he went up to 70, it's an achievement of 30%. Someone who came 0 and went up to 50, he achieved 50. Who is more righteous in the eyes of Hashem? By the people, the 70%, it's much better than the 50. Look at him, you compare, there's nothing to compare. By Hashem, he achieved a lot more. And that's what the difference between Moshe and Aaron. It's true that looking at Moshe is perfect. Aaron is a drop less. No. Aaron in his potential did exactly what Moshe did in his potential. That's why the Shkulim, that's why the Torah once called him first and one called him first. It applies to us. Concept is the same concept. We knows what can we do and what we cannot do. We always gonna lie that it's hard for me, Rabbi, I can't. Why don't you come to Shachrit, 7 in the morning? It's freezing, I sleep late, I can't, Rabbi, I can't. So I go at 9 o'clock. At least I daven, take $1,000 cash, go like this. Every morning, 7 o'clock, you walk into the shul, $1,000 cash. 6 o'clock, he's going to stand over there by mistake. Or he's going to put 15 alarms. You know, when you have a flight to catch, all night you don't sleep. Why? It's the only flight. I have a lecture, Toronto, I'm going to miss this flight. Forget it, there's no other flight. I'm so nervous, I cannot sleep the whole night. Why? When you want something really bad, you're going to get it. אין דבר העומד בפני הרצון. Yes. Nothing can stand in the person's wish. If he really wants to do it, he's going to do it. I don't believe in this word, I can't. I don't want, that's something else. Sounds the same. Don't say I can't. Say you don't want enough. It doesn't pay to do. You don't believe in a reward. Yeah.
Okay, I'm not talking about like picking and choosing, but יש דברים that you don't have an enough for it. You don't believe in it. You just don't believe that it's necessary for you.
No, it's ignorance. It's all ignorance. So you have to learn why it's necessary. You have to learn why it's necessary.
How is it necessary for one group of religious people and not necessary for 5 other groups of religious people?
It's necessary for everyone. Just one group is more ignorant than the other. That's why they ignore it. let me explain you. Why one girl is very modest, strictly, and the other one is half and half? Because the one that is half and half, besides that she has maybe a harder test, besides that, she doesn't understand the importance of not being machtia rabim. She understands the concept of how much she loses every day. She would never dare.
It's not half and half, it's half and half to that group and to that group. And so with all these different groups, that's why people are so confused today.
Oh, I know what you're saying. You're trying to use the concept that I was just saying, that each one of us has to fulfill his own potential, and we don't have the same potential. But one thing you are wrong about. What is it? We have a minimum that is unanimous for all of us, that Hashem gave the Torah. He didn't say that some of us can be half modest or half Shomer Shabbos. Certain things in the Torah, it's for all Jews, all race, all nationalities, smart, stupid, man, female, handicapped, not handicapped, whatever you want to call it, rich, poor, it's the same rule. To keep Shabbat, everyone is obligated. To learn Torah, read in the Rambam, everyone is obligated. He connects to a machine in a hospital, God forbid dying from cancer, he has an obligation to learn Torah. A guy that has 20 kids and he doesn't have what to feed them, and he goes all day and knock on doors begging for donations, he has an obligation to learn everyday Torah. So there are certain things that applies to all of us. We all have to eat kosher. Now you might come and tell me, there's kosher, there's more kosher, and more kosher, there's no end to it. Okay, we can argue about this. We'll leave it aside, it's a long argument. But certain red lines applies to all of us, which means to learn Torah, all of us are obligated. To keep Shabbat, all of us. To give donation, all of us. We are not obligated to give the same amount of donations, but we are obligated. We are obligated to watch our eyes, to watch our ears, to watch our mouth, to do many things that sometimes we're not doing. I want to tell you a story before we finish. You know Rabbi Galinsky, he was one of the greatest speakers. He passed away a few years ago. He has a record. His life wasn't easy life. When he was in Siberia, the Russians put him in a camp and they made him starve for 40 days. We fast one day in Yom Kippur. By the end of Yom Kippur, we see stars already. But that's 2 hours before the fast ends. Once the fast ends, none of us is hungry anymore. Why? We stay, we mingle outside of the synagogue, we do Birkat Alvana, no rush anymore to eat. Some of us, even an hour, they get home, they drink a cup of tea or something, and they still have time for the meal. Because the mind of a person, what's forbidden, you have desire for it. This is the way the Satan is. Once it's permitted, no more desire for it. You have a girl, to make a sin with her, big desire. She became your wife, you don't have the same desire like before. You go, twins, 2 female, 1 married, 1 single. Which one the person has more attraction to the married one? Unbelievable, they made a survey. 75% of the people, they say, we would like to make a sin with a married one. Why? It's twins, copy machine, same one. Why? The Yetzer Hara. Yetzer Hara exists, and the way of the Yetzer Hara is always to push you to a deeper hole. He's never satisfied. Same thing, we are hungry for money, he's hungry for us making sins. So Rabbi Galinsky now 40 days he doesn't eat. Maybe he drinks, I don't really know the situation, but this is the story. 40 days he's starving. After the time end, they brought him soup. Soup with some carrots, potato. Believe me, it's not the soup you want for lunch. In Siberia, in a camp. Then, when he was about to attack the soup, so another Jew that fasting, another, like, they also put him in the same situation, maybe 20 days, not 40, less, still very hungry. So he said, he's thinking to myself, he cannot eat. It's not my fault. I didn't eat for 40 days. Finally, I can save my life. But how can I eat now when somebody hungry is in the same room with me? I gotta share with him. So he called him quietly come. He gave him half of the soup. That's it. He gave him half of the soup. The story is over. Many years later, Rav Galinsky came to Israel. He became a very famous speaker all over the world. And what happened? After many, many years, the Chazon Ish one time called him and another rabbi and said, I want you to go. They brought the Sephardim Jews from Morocco, from Iran, from all kinds of places, and they put them in a ma'abarot, in special places, yards, with fences around, like little ghettos, camps. And they built for them temporary houses over there, and many of them are religious, but they forced them to send their children to boys and girls together, and they teach them what the Zionist movement's interested that they learn, that they brought from Russia and from Poland. They're not really getting Torah education. So I want you and him to go and ask all the families, do it, I don't know how you're going to do it, how many of them wants to send their kids to Talmud Torah? They come to the place, it's all surrounded by, and there's a guard. There's somebody watching, and they have fences around. So they took a shovel, they dig a hole under the fence, they went inside. Just as they go, they say, well, it's impossible. Where are we going to find all of them? They're all in different places. How are we going to know who's the father of who? The kids are here. It's very complicated. Just as they looking around, they got caught. What are you doing here? They see two religious guys coming with beards. What are you doing here? They started to speak to them in Yiddish. So they pretend they don't understand Yiddish, because if they would answer in Yiddish, right away they throw them out. So after a few minutes, who does he see? The guy that he gave him half of his soup 40 years ago, 30 years ago, whatever it was. He is one of the counselors over there. He's in charge. He's one of them. He calls him, said, remember me? Wow. He looked at him and said, for years I'm thinking about the chesed you did to me. I never forget you. How did you do such a thing? He said, now I need a favor from you. He said, I cannot do the job, but you are here. Find out how many families here wants to send their children to Talmud Torah. I'll come in 2-3 days. You give me the list. Say, wow, it's a hard thing. They're going to find out. They're going to think I'm a trader. So you owe me a favor. This is the favor I need. I said, okay, come back in a few days. He came a few days later. He gave him a list of 65 families. They got them all out of there. They sent them to Talmud Torah and save all their children. Now think for a second. Half of the soup, it's a big thing that he did, big thing. It's very difficult test, I'm not saying no. But if somebody would come to you in that situation and say, give half of your soup, and we're going to save 300 kids to take them from the kibbutz and put them in Talmud Torah. Wow, for this, take the whole soup. I'm willing to save 300 souls. Come on, it's a big thing. You never know. One little thing you do, even a small thing, it could be a great thing in Shamayim. From that, Hashem paid him, Rav Galinsky, thanks to his soup, to the jar of soup that he gave to the other guy. Hundreds of Jews, who knows how many rabbis are in the world thanks to this soup. Could be one of us, our grandparents, all of them, especially those who are Sephardic, because they were all Sephardic families, saved from that soup. One little thing when you think about the other. What a chain reaction it can have. Chain reaction. If you walk on the street and you see somebody is drowning in a lake, and you jump, you messed up your suit, after 2 hours you fix your hair, now you have to go in, you swim, you get the guy, you save his life. Or you give a hungry person, you have 2 slices of bread, and you give 1 slice to another Jew. Which one of the 2 consider a bigger mitzvah? Saving a life of a drowning Jew or giving a slice of bread to a hungry Jew? What do you think? Technically, what's the question here? What's the comparison? Sure, saving the life. Wrong. Wrong. Giving a slice of bread is a much greater mitzvah. Why? You walk in the street and a Jew is drowning. You don't have a choice. Even if you want him to die, your biggest enemy, you'll jump to save him. Why? Everybody looks at you. You're not going to jump and save his life. They're going to point at you for the rest of your life as a murderer. What? What's the choice here, Bichlal? You're embarrassed from what the people's going to say. But between you and him, slice of bread, I'm sorry, I'm hungry. You give him quietly a piece of bread, is something great in Shamayim. I'll tell you the last story for tonight to let you go with a smile. Even though there's a lot to achieve. There's a lot to achieve. We still have to put a lot of efforts. But one last story. The Maharil Diskin was a famous Rav. 80 years ago, he went to visit his aunt. His father's sister was alive. She went to a hospital. And she couldn't go to the bathroom, so they connected her to a bag. You go 1 hour to a hospital in Manhattan or here, you become very religious, I promise you, when you see what happens over there. That's what I said in my first video. Why do we have to wait to see the results of not listening to Hashem when we have a free choice to do it in the right way? Why do we have to wait and see, chas v'shalom, the payments? The idea is to do it because it's the right thing to do, not because we're subject to some kinds of punishments. So he went to the hospital, and when he went into the room of his aunt, he almost died when he smelled what's going on in that room. She's with diapers, terrible smell. And then he began to speak to her. He's forcing himself to stay 5 minutes in a room. What can he do? He came all the way to visit her. There's no cars like today, or airplanes 8 years ago. To go visit somebody in a hospital was a very difficult mission. So he asked her, nobody takes care of your bathroom here? She said, yes. Once every 2 weeks, there's a woman comes and changes the bag and my diapers. So just before he left, she told him, Rabbi, have prayed to Hashem for me that He keeps me alive, that I won't die. He couldn't hold his curiosity. So he told her, what do you need to live? This kind of, who wants to live in this life? Can't even make a bracha. Can't pray, cannot read Tehillim, your whole body is full of bathroom. What good is the life? So this is her answer. We should learn from it. She say, once a week this woman come and change my diapers, and I have 2 hours that my body and the room is clean. And those 2 hours I say brachot non-stop. I read Tehillim, I pray, I speak to Hashem for 2 hours. Once every 2 weeks, 2 hours to speak to Hashem. Nothing else she has in her life. No good food, no delicious food she doesn't taste. Nothing. No money, no children, no grandchildren, not colors, nothing. She's in a hospital in a depressing room. But 4 hours a month. An opportunity to speak to Hashem. For this it's worth for me to live in this suffering. When he saw that, he said, wow, I think I'm a tzaddik, he thinks. Learning all day Torah, look at her. It's 1,000,000 times better than me. Thinking that she's going to have 2 hours to speak to Hashem, for that she's willing to live with all this suffering. Same thing, 2 guys in a hospital. One is by the window and one is next to the door. The guy by the window is telling the guy inside every day, beautiful view, lake, ducks, beautiful cars, people walking in the street, kids are playing, the sun is shining, rainbow. The guy inside is eating his heart. They both paralyzed. Why he got the window and I'm all the way in, depressed, never see colors, nothing. Like this for months. Every day he tells him, describing what's going on outside. I see beautiful cars coming out, this beautiful sun. One time, the guy next to the window got an attack. He used to get attacks. And the guy inside was pressing the red button for the nurses to come to save him. He said, this time when he gets an attack, I don't care, I'm not calling the nurse. Let him die, then I'll get the window. And that's what happened. He died. As soon as the nurse comes, she said, that's it, Baruch Dayan Haemet, he's dead. So he said, please move me now. I'm here already for months. Before you bring another patient, make sure I get the window. She said, okay, no problem, let me push you in. They took the body out. They push him into the door. He looks inside. What does he see? A hallway. There was no outside. There was another floor in hospital. There was nothing. The guy is eating his heart. telling him windows, lakes, this. His pleasure was to make another Jew jealous. Sometimes we're worse than him. Why do you buy this car? I want everybody to think that I'm better. Why you do this? Because I'm better. Why you buy this jewelry? Because I'm better. Why you buy this bag? It has to be this. It has to be this name. Like the kids today. They take a jacket, they put it upside down. Why? They want everybody to see the name. They come to yeshiva, they go like this. They check the brand of the tie. This is the children we want to raise. This is what happened today. Go to yeshivot. One day you stay and see what happened. We have a lot to do. Root canal. Got to clean it from the root. The more modern you want to be, you're going to pay the price. Don't hate me for saying it. This is my obligation to tell you the truth. It's about time to change. You don't want to change, Hashem will force all of us to change. Include myself and many others. We're all modern to some extent. Some more, some less. There's a lot to be fixed. Hashem didn't put us to enjoy this world like we think. We have a mission. We might as well get it. We have to be here. We might as well earn as much as possible. We do that, we'll be very happy after for a long life. The life to come. That's what the Torah says. I'm testing you to see what's in your heart. Would you keep my mitzvot or not? I'm torturing you. I'm strict with you. What? To see if you love me and you keep my mitzvot or not. What for? To reward you in your end. Le'ativcha be'acharitecha. I am God, faithful to pay reward to my lovers who keep my mitzvot le'elef dor, for 1,000 generations. And God forbid, I don't want to continue the rest with the wicked people. What's going to be their end? If you want to know what's going to be their end, just read Sefer Dvarim. You don't need me for that. Read Sefer Dvarim. Those who are anxious and addicted to this life, to this world, will be very disappointed. Those who give up all this phony pleasure, supposedly, this flashy lifestyle, they'll be very happy in the end. The idea is to stick to the rules. Eliminate your feelings. Feelings will not get you anywhere. The truth. What's the truth? What Hashem really wants me to do? My heart tells me go right, but the Torah says go left, go left. Put your heart on the right. You have to move left. Why? Because Hashem say move left. The poor guy comes and begs you to do something. Wait. Give him $1. I'm not saying no. Something much more important you can achieve with your donation. You can save 100 Jews and make them Shomer Shabbos. Billions of mitzvot will be done this year thanks to your money. Why are you wasting it on a Hanukkah mixed party? Or something else, whatever it is. Use your head. When you use your head and pay attention to every step, you achieve a lot more. But remember the last thing from this lecture, knowledge. Ignorance is the biggest enemy. Knowledge is the biggest assistance. The more knowledgeable you're going to be, the more strict religious girl you're going to be. Guarantee. Nobody ever can eliminate this formula. The more knowledge you have, the more Musar you learn, the more Shulchan Aruch you learn, the more mitzvot you keep. Big profit. The more you ignore it, you have time for everything else, like I said in this lecture, the more you lose. Choose which one you want. Thank you very much. I want to thank the host of the house, and Abigail, for bringing me here, for the first time. Thank you for sitting patiently here. I hope, yes, if you have some questions, now it's the time.
I wanted to ask you a question. When you say about kashrut, מה ההבדל בין הכשרות? כי פה כולם משוגעים, זה כשר, זה כשר, זה לא כשר.
The differences on the kashrut is how strictly it's supervised. Some places it's supervised once in a while. The rabbi comes in once a week, once a month, twice a month, and surprise them and check. And they're already clever, so they cheat. Some kashrut, the rabbi is there all day. He's checking, he has the key to the freezer, he doesn't give them access to the meat. Some kashrut, they will let the owner be mechalel Shabbos. He himself doesn't eat kosher, and they trust him. Some kashrut, they don't trust him. They say, you want kashrut for your restaurant, you have to have the rabbi has the key. Even the owner of the restaurant doesn't have the key to the restaurant and to the refrigerator. Why? We can rely on him. He eats pork every day and he drives on Shabbat. You expect him to feed us kosher food? So there are levels of how strict they watch the place. It's up to you if you want to take a risk or not. You understand? So the more they supervise the place, obviously it also costs more money. Thank you very much again.